And now I'm here with Paul S. Levine. Now, Paul wears a couple of different hats. He's a lawyer, he's a literary agent. I don't know, Paul. I seem to see you everywhere. We recently rubbed shoulders in Oklahoma City at the WriterCon, and I've seen you at plenty of writers' conferences in Southern California. And now here you are at the BookFest. Welcome.
Thank you. So, of course, in the past year and a half, I'm only seen on Zoom and StreamYard and these kinds of things. But it was nice to actually see you in Oklahoma in person. That's the first writers' conference or in-person writers' conference I've been to in 2 years. So
Yeah,
it was nice.
it was very nice. Yeah, same here. Same here. We've decided we're going to keep the Book Fest virtual for now
Hmm.
because the nice thing is now we're reaching authors from around the world. Maybe someday
Yes.
we'll be live, but for right now, we're virtual and we're happy here in our safe little online environment. So let's get right to it. Can you tell me what are some of the important things, in your opinion, that an author needs to keep in mind when they're pitching, whether it's a live pitch like they might have at a writer's conference or
Hmm.
even by email? What are some of the things that authors need to keep in mind when pitching?
Okay. So agents are looking for things that can sell. We're not looking for reasons to say no. We're looking for reasons to say yes, so that we have things that we can sell to potential publishers. So what I'm looking for right up front are the basics. I'd like to know what genre it is we're talking about. You have a nonfiction book proposal for a self-help book. Do you have a memoir? Do you have women's fiction? Do you have a children's picture book? Whatever it is that you have, tell me what you have right up front. And if it's a manuscript, if it's for proposals, no, but certainly for a novel of any kind, or I would want to know the word count. I would want to know what your writing background is, and um, how you came to write whatever it is that you've written. I want to know who else has read it besides you and your friends and your family. Are you a member of a writer's critique group? Are you uh, have you paid a professional editor to edit your manuscript? Whatever has happened, um, because one of the questions I'm going to ask you is, "Are you done?" And when you tell me yes, because invariably people tell me yes, the next question I'm going to ask you is, how do you know?
Yeah.
And I get answers like, I wrote the end, so I know it's done. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're just getting started. So all of that, if we can get those logistics and those basics out of the way right up front, then we can have time to, especially if it's a writers' conference of some kind versus an email, then we can have time to talk. Oh, and one other no, please, whatever piece of paper you have in front of you, um, to remind you or to read from, turn it over. I want you to talk to me, because one of the things I'm looking at for, especially in for in-person pitches, is I'm looking at, life's too short. Do I want to work with this person? Is this person going to get along well with the acquiring editor at the publishing house? Or is this going to be a pain in the ass? Because if you're a pain in the ass,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
life's too
that.
short.
Yeah. Well, and that's important too, because sometimes these authors come with a large ego, and
Uh-huh.
you need to have an ego. Let's face it, to
Yes,
bleed on that page and to bury your soul, whether it's fiction or nonfiction.
sure.
But sometimes you got to kind of check that ego at the door a little bit.
Uh-huh. And I want you to talk to me, not just read from a standard pitch or a memorized pitch.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm going to tell you, turn over the piece of paper that you have in front of you and talk to me.
Yeah.
Just tell me about your book. And uh, I kid people. People are always nervous, and I get that people are nervous. And I'll try to push you at ease by telling you something like, you know what? I'm not going to bite you. The worst that's going to happen is I'm going to say this is not for me, or I don't think I can sell this. Look, at the end of the day, agents are uh, when they're listening to a pitch or they're reading a query by email, we're asking ourselves two questions. One, is this something I think I can sell?
Hmm.
Two, do I know enough editors at the publishing houses who I think, who I hope, who I pray are going to buy this thing, whatever this thing is?
Yeah, yeah,
If the answers to both of those questions is yes, I'm excited. 99% of the time, the answers to one or both of those questions is not so much.
yeah.
But when I get the occasional query in the email, or when I listen to a pitch at a writer's conference, or whatever it may be, or somebody picks up the phone and calls me because they're referred by somebody, whatever it is, that's what's going on in the back of my mind as we're talking. Is this something I can sell? Do I know enough people who I think are going to buy it?
Yep, it all comes down to that saleability, that marketability. So
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned book proposals. This is
Mm-hmm.
for nonfiction now, and sometimes
Right.
authors don't even realize that. What is it in a book proposal that authors should be the most aware of, or that you like to see most?
Okay. So let me talk about first what the purpose of a book proposal is. The book proposal is the selling tool that I use as an agent to get a publisher interested in publishing the nonfiction book or the memoir, um, mainly nonfiction books. What I always tell clients is that we need to demonstrate that there's a hole in the marketplace and that you're the guy or the gal with the shovel who can fill that hole. You have identified a needed uh, book, a needed hole, a needed book in the marketplace that has yet to be filled.
Hmm.
You have a unique exercise book. You know, the most important section of the book proposal by far, as far as I'm concerned, is the comparative books section. The
Okay.
comparison between your proposed book and every other book that's out there currently in print by major publishers. If it's no longer in print because it was published 30 years ago or whatever, we're not interested. We're interested in the current marketplace. How does your book fit? Is there a hole that your book will fit into in the current marketplace? We're not interested in self published books. We're not interested in books that are out of print. We're interested in books um, that the consuming public can currently buy.
Hmm.
And we need to demonstrate that yours fits there, is going to sell because it has identified a need in the marketplace which the book is going to fill. Um, the second and equally most important section of the book proposal is the about the author section.
Mm,
What makes you the expert on this topic, whatever the
yeah.
topic is? Why should the reading public pay attention to you on the topic and what you have to say about it? What is it about your background that will make readers say, "Ooh, I got to read this because this author knows what he or she is talking about"?
Exactly. Yeah. You and I are very similar that way because I do PR and marketing. And
Right,
that's one of the first things I ask an author when I'm going to be pitching them for an interview. Why you? Why would this show want to talk to you? It's the same thing. It's all boiling down to the marketability of the book.
right.
So let me ask you this: is there anything that you don't want to see? What's the kiss of death, in your opinion, that an author can bring to you?
Uh, in fiction or in nonfiction?
Either or.
In fiction, comparing yourself to the greats and
Mm.
saying that or telling me that your book is going to be a multi-million dollar or multi-million copy bestseller. Um, like you were saying a minute ago in a slightly different context, you need to have an ego, but you need to keep your ego in check. And if you're going to tell me that your mystery novel or a horror novel is as good as Stephen King's or better than Stephen King's. No. In the nonfiction world, I guess having an ego in a different way, thinking. I remember I had a client years ago who could not understand why the world would not want to see her photos of her doing Pilates exercises. She thought that she was so beautiful and so compelling and so remarkable that the world would want to see her approach to Pilates exercise. And she could not understand why I wasn't interested in taking on this book.
Yeah.
So if you can, keep it in check, that would be a good thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Here's the question I get all the time. Authors that have self-published that then want an agent or a publisher to pick up their book. Is it possible? If it is, what's the magic ingredients that they need to have?
Sales. 99% of all self-published books sell less than 100 copies because 99.9% of them are crap, unfortunately. Think about what a publisher does. Editorial, production, as in printing and shipping copies of the book, distribution, getting the book into bookstores everywhere in the country, marketing, promotion, publicity, all of the things that publishers do. Almost all authors could never do anything like what a publisher does. And if the ultimate goal is to get Hollywood interested in making the movie version of your book, whatever it is, or a TV show based on your book, if it's a nonfiction book, or whatever it may be, Hollywood does not pay attention to self-published books. The whole reason they want to base books on movies is because they believe that there's an established market, already established consumer demand and a market for the product already.
Yeah.
And the movie version is just another version. Think of, I don't know, Harry Potter or Da Vinci Code or any of the movies that are based on books. The book does well. It's published by a major publisher. There's an awareness of the book, and then people go see the movie. So that's what Hollywood wants. So if you self-publish your book, chances are that, like I said before, you've only sold 100 copies or so. If you are the rare bird and you've actually sold 10, 15, 20,000 copies of the book, then come talk to me. Then I can do something with it. And the first thing I'm going to do with it is get a major publisher to take it on before we sell it to Hollywood. Because again, no matter how many copies you sold, Hollywood is not interested in your self-published book, even if you have sold 10 or 15 or 20,000 copies. If you've sold 10 or 15 or 20,000 copies, Hollywood's going to say, okay, get it published by Random House or HarperCollins or one of the big boys. Then you'll add a couple zeros to that figure, and then we'll be interested in making the move.
Excellent advice. Excellent. Paul, we're running up against the clock. Really quick, is there anything particular you're looking for right now? Mystery, sci-fi, anything special?
Not in the nonfiction world. A unique approach to exercise and fitness is always a big seller, especially these days. It's where people aren't able to go to the gym or whatever, how you can do it at home using your own equipment, etc., rather than having to go to the gym. Those kinds of books is what one of the things I'm looking for.
Okay.
In the fiction world, always women's fiction and a good mystery or a good thriller.
Perfect. Paul S. Levine, founder of the Paul S. Levine Literary Agency. You can find out more about him on the BookFest website. He has a profile there. Thank you so much for joining us for the BookFest Fall 2021.
Terrific. Thank you.